Alright, rule, Florida Administrative Code 62762, Petroleum Storage, ATS's rules and forms coming soon. 627062 except for the above ground mineral acid storage tank system. The purpose of the chapter is to provide a standard for the registration, construction, installation, operation, maintenance, repair, closure, disposal storage tank system for the storage of regulated substance to minimize the current environmental risk with related to discharge. But the chapter provides for the standard above ground storage tanks system have been individual storage tank capacity greater than 550 gallons for the mineral acid storage tank. The purpose of the chapter is to minimize the occurrence of environmental risk for the discharge of above ground storage tanks that have capabilities greater than 110 gallons with the contained with the hydrobaromic, hydrochloric, or hydrofluoric, phosphoric, or sulfuric acid mineral acid storage tanks are not only subject to Rule 62762 62762 891, Florida Administrative Codes. For the purpose of the chapter, establish the registration program, comprehensive vessel above ground hazardous substance storage tank systems. Individual capacities greater than 110 gallons for these systems are only subject to Section 62762 401. 1 and 2, the Florida Administration Codes. This chapter implements the requirements of Chapter 6 of the 376 Florida State Statute, final agent to the action related to the function that may be carried out with the local administrative program county under the contract with the department pursuant to Section 3763073 Florida State Statute shall be taken by the Department of Special Authority 376303, 376323, Florida State Law implemented 376303, 376303, 3076, 322, Florida State History, Florida History Statute, History News, June 21st, 2004. Alright, 201, 20111, 201, 201. And, all right, 62762 The following word of the phrase of the term, the use of the chapter of the utilized context indicate that otherwise shall have the following meaning: airport to seaport, hydrant piping, the means of pressurized integral piping system, including hydrant pits associated with petroleum storage tank systems serving airports and seaports, military bases. Ammonia includes the organic and ammonized inorganic compounds that are liquid standard temperature pressure that will discharge, release the free ammonia and ammonia ion. The AST it means above ground storage tank. AST category A system means a system that is installed on before March 12, 1991. AST category B means a system installed before March 12, 1991 before July 13, 1998. The above ground storage tank category C system means a system that installed only on or after June 13, 1998. As above ground storage system removed and relocated after July 13, 1998. Are considered Category C systems. Bulk and product facility means a waterfront location at least one above ground tank with a capacity greater than 30,000 gallons that is used for the storage of pollutants. Bulk product facility means of the water location with the lowest one above ground with a capacity greater than 30,000 gallons is used for the storage pollutant. Bulk product piping means on-site the integral piping the internal diameter greater than 3 inches. A origins of the first stationary landward valve, the valve vessel loading unloading area that delivers regulated substances up to and including the first valve within the dike filled area in the public bulk product facility. It utilizes transportation regulated substance. The cathodic protection means a method of preventing corrosion for the metal surface of making the surface of cathode of an electrochemical cell through using devices such as galvanic anodes and press current. The cathodic protection test means of the person who can demonstrate understanding of the principal measurement of all common types of the cathodic protection system applied for the buried and submerged with the metal piping tank system at a minimum of such a person to have an educated experience with the soil resistivity and stray current with the structure to soil potential and component electrical installation measurement of the buried metal piping and tanking system. Chlorine includes organic and inorganic compounds that liquid at standard temperature pressure that when discharged may release free chlorine or chlorides. Compatibility means ability to two or more substances maintaining the respective physical and chemical properties upon contact with one another for the design life of the storage tank under the conditions likely to be encountered with the storage tank system. The compressed vessel means any stationary above ground container tank of the on-site integral piping system combination thereof with the capacity greater than 110 gallons is primarily used for the storing pollutant hazardous substance above the atmospheric pressure at the reduced temperature in order to lower the vapor pressure of the contents. Manifold compression vessels of the function of a single vessel shall be considered one vessel. Contaminated means the presence of a regulated substance in the surface of water, of the groundwater, soil, sediment upon the land in quantities result exceeding with the applicable cleanup target levels in Chapter 62, 770. Florida Administration Code, where the petroleum products are present with water quality in Chapter 62.3, 62.302, 62.520, 62.550, Florida Administration Code. The corrosion potential means that any person who, by reason of knowledge and physical sense of the principles of the engineering mathematics acquired with the professional education related to the practical experience is qualified to engage in the practice corrosion control with the barrier of the submerged metal components of the storage tank system. The corrosion professional shall be accredited and certified with the NACE International or be a professional engineer registered in the state of Florida. The county means a locally administrated program under the contracting department is performed for compliance with verification of current activities facilities with the storage tank systems. Cut and cover means the tank is constructed with a seal and reinforced concrete that is surrounded with the soil above the natural surface of the ground. Dike field area means the area around the tank of the tanks extending with the circumference of the base of the above ground storage tank to the top of the berm and the dike of the retaining walls surrounding the tank. Discharge includes but not limited to any spill, leaking, seeping, pouring, miscible, emitting, emptying, dumping of any regulated substance which affects the lands of the surface of the groundwaters of the state. Discovery means either actual knowledge of the facts that could reasonably lead to actual knowledge existence of the incident, discharge of unmaintained storage tank system. Discovery specified with the petroleum contamination site cleanup criteria in subsection 62.770 207 Florida Administration Code. The dispenser means the dispensing system that is used to transfer vehicle fuel from a fixed point to a vehicle. The dispenser line means the liner installed with the secondary contamination beneath the dispenser to prevent discharge from regulated substance. Dispensing system means the equipment that is used to transfer regulated substance from the integral piping for the rigid, flexible hose and pipe and the other point for the outside of the storage tank system. The double bottom means an above ground storage tank with the secondary containment of the form of the outer tank of the beginning to the bottom having the closed internal interstitial space between the primer tank bottom and the secondary outer tank bottom. Double walled means a storage tank that has an outer wall with the integral piping that has an outer wall that provides the secondary contamination primary tank, and the piping empty means that all the regulated substances have been removed that no more than 1 inch of the depth or 0.3% of the weight of the total system of the capacity regulated substance remains in the storage tank system. Existing contamination means the presence of a free product with a sheen of the groundwater, the presence of vapor levels monitoring wells measured in accordance with the DEP's guidelines of the vapor monitoring or in the flame of ionization detected for the equivalent instrument as excess of 500 parts per million total petroleum hydrocarbons for storage tank containing gasoline equivalent petroleum products, or 50 parts per million total petroleum hydrocarbon storage tank systems containing kerosene, diesel, and other equivalent petroleum products. Result of analytical test of the groundwater sample and that exceeds the cleanup of the target level of the petroleum product for the chemical concerning this is specified in Table 5 of Chapter 62.770 Florida Administration Code, indicating presence of the hazardous substance is not described in subparagraph C, 1 above, or indicated presence of regulated substance not described in subparagraph C above, or after July 13, 1989, the results of the analytical test of the soil sample that exceeds the lower directed exposure 1 to the leachable table to clean up the target of the petroleum product with the chemical for the concern listed in the Table 4, Chapter 62.770 Florida Administration Code. The indicated presence of the hazardous substances that are not described in subparagraph D, 1 above, or the indicated presence of regulated substance that does not described in subparagraph D above. Facilities mean a non-residential location containing the contained stationary tank of the containing regulated substances that had individual capacities greater than 550 gallons from above ground storage tanks. Fill erected storage tank of the means of above ground storage tank the constructed assembling on site of the facility, flowing through the process tank of the tank that forms an integral part of the production process, which is steady, variable, recurring, and intermittent flow of the materials during the operation of the process. Flow through the process tanks include the tanks associated with the vapor recovery units, oil, water separated flow through the process tanks do not include the storage tank used for the storage of the regulated substance before the introduction of the production process for the storage of the finished with the products by the product for the production process. The free product means the regulated substance in excess of 1/100th of the foot over the thickness measured with the thickness point of floating on the water surface and groundwater. If hazardous substance means the substance defined as the hazardous substance of Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation Liability Act of 1980, Public Law number 96510, 94 Statute 2766 FAC2767 for amending the Superfunded Amendments of the Reauthorization Act of 1986. Heating oil means of petroleum-based fuel used in operating of the heat equipment of the boilers and furnaces. High viscosity means of pollutant of the viscosity of 30 centistokes or higher than 40 degrees centigrade, such as the American Society of Testing Material grades 5 and 6 of residual oil, intermediate fuel oils, bunker seed fuel. Hydro-lifted tank means a tank that holds a hydraulic fluid for a closed loop mechanical system used in the operating lifts and evaluated to other similar devices. Hydrostatic test means the test of the storage tank and the storage tank system component that is performed in accordance with the chapter equilibrium pressure liquids and the integrity of the tank of the system component. Impervious means the synthetic material, another material approved in accordance with the subsection 627628512 Florida Administrative Code's compatibility with storage regulated substance has permissible rate of regulated substances stored at 1 times 10 to the -7th centimeter seconds or less. The construction structure of the material meet the design and construction standard of the ACI 350R89, ACI 224R89 is applied with the concrete in accordance with the NACE International Standard RP 089292. In contact with the soil means that integral piping is connected with the above ground storage tank, and a portion of the tank that physically touches the soil is not in direct contact with the soil is separated from the soil only by casing or wrapping other material that is not impervious. The portion of the integral piping that evaluated that not direct contact with the soil is excluded from this definition. Incident with the condition of the situation, including the discharge, may have occurred with the storage system, industrial occupancy building, enclosed structure containing the above-ground storage tank that is used in association with the industrial manufacturing process, electrical power generated, and utility provided with the building and constructed that is used primarily for the industrial manufacturing, electrical power generating purposes, not solely for the purposes of storing the regulated substances. Industrial occupancy building is structured for the impervious floors without valves and drains or of the other openings with the permitted pollutants to be discharged. Industrial occupancy building constructed July 13, 1998. It must be constructed in accordance with the NFP 330 Section 25 with the installation of tanks inside buildings Section 53 facility design. Having at least Type 2 construction in accordance with the NFPA 220 Chapter 3 be ventilated in accordance with the NFPA 68 and 69. Verified meeting of the above the construction requirements, either registered architecture professional engineer registered in the state of Florida. In-service means for the storage tank system that has been actively maintained and operated in accordance with the chapter. Non-compliance with any of the specific rules with the chapter does not exclude the system being constructed, considered in the service and subject of them to be above the storage tank of the system, and considered to be in the service if it contains regulated substances. Regulated substances regular added within drawn with the system is emptied and solely for the purpose of cleaning, routine maintenance for the change in the product for the time period not exceeding 45 days, or that contains non-regulated substances still maintained in service status for the request of the owner and operator. The integral piping means on the outside originating, terminating at the regulated storage tank of the tanks that convey the regulated substances, vapor, the recovery lines, pipeline facilities, vent lines are not considered integral piping. Integral piping is not considered on-site if the piping crosses the state boundaries or two or more county boundaries. Integral piping includes all valves, the elbows, joint flanges, pumps, and flexible connectors up to the union of the piping, the dispensing system, fill cap, the valve, forwarding, pumping, using the transfer of regulated substance flow through the process of the tank, industrial production, manufacturing point of use, or the first flange of the connection with the load rack and containment area. Internal lining material means the material that applied with the internal with the above ground storage tank, bottom of the underground storage tank to protect the tank from integral corrosion. Interstitial monitoring, the release of the detection method used to determine the presence of regulated substances or water between the primary and secondary containment. Interstitial monitoring can be performed within the closed interstitial space between two steel impervious barriers that are sealed to not obtain the atmospheric design to be tested the breach of integrity for the internal interstitial space. The open interstitial space between two steel impervious barriers have the open atmosphere not designed to be tested for the breach of integrity for the interior interstitial space. Liner means of impervious material that meets the performance standards of paragraph 627625011E of the Florida Administrative Code. Externally for the method of the secondary containment liquid trap means the sumps, wells, and cellars, other traps in association with the oil and gas production, gathering, extraction operations, including gas production plants to collect oil, water, other liquids. Liquid traps may temporarily collect liquids, subsequently disposition, reinjection into the production pipeline system stream that may collect with the separate liquids from the gas and stream. The maintenance means the normal operation upkeep to prevent the storage of the tank system releasing the regulated substances. Mobile tank is 48 mobile tank is an above ground storage tank that is moved to a different location at least once every 100 days. 80 days. It has a current valid vehicle registration, Florida Department of Highway Safety Motor Vehicles, and has a current test inspection marking in accordance with Title 49 CFR 18415. or is designated constructor be moved to other surface location, relocation within the facility from site to site and adherent to its use. Is used for on-site construction activities provided with the construction activities do not exceed 12 months of the life of the construction project. As long as the construction is continuous, the tanks are moved from the site of the construction and complete within the not considered mobile and connected stationary underground, above ground, integral piping unless associated with the production of the agricultural commodity provided the tank is moved in a different location at least once every 880 days. National recognized laboratory means that the organization can perform quantitative and qualitative tests of the storage and tank system, equipment evaluate test data, and equipment and performance make the determination of equipment and capability of the meeting the technical standard of the chapter. The national recognized laboratory shall have at least 5 years of professional storage tank system equipment testing experience. The national recognized laboratories, including organizations such as Underwriters Laboratories, Carnegie Mellon Research Institute, Midwest Research Institute, Ken Wilcox Associated Factory Mutual, and American Board of Engineering Technology accredited universities. On-site means the same with the geographical contingency property of the facility regulated under the chapter that is under the same ownership of the control, which may be divided in the public-private right way of the easement and the piping of the connecting the above-ground storage tank of the pipeline facility considered on-site up to the point where the cross of the dike wall surrounding the above-ground storage tank. Operational life refers to the period of the start installation of the storage tank system and on the completion of the closure of the storage tank in accordance with subsection 627628013 Florida Administrative Code. Operator means any person operating facility will by leasing contract or other form of agreement out of service means for the storage of the system tank system is that A is designated as an out-of-service system by the owner and operator. Notification Department of Form 62, 762, 761, 902. Is empty defined in subsection 62, 762, 201, 26 Florida Administrative Code. Does not have any regulated substances transferred into, withdrawn from the tank and specified in section 62, 762, 8012 Florida Administration Code for maximum time of the 2 years being taken out of service for underground storage tanks and 5 years being taken out of service for above ground storage tanks. 10 years being taken out of service of the storage tank system with secondary contamination. 54 overfill with release of the discharge that occurs with the tank filled with beyond the capacity. Owner means that any person is defined in subsection 376.301.23 of the Florida State owning facility. Pesticides mean all preparation products of substance include the Department of Agricultural and Consumer Services Rule 5E2002 Florida Administration Code. Petroleum includes oil, including crude petroleum, oil, other hydrocarbons, regardless of the gravity with the produced as well in liquid form. The ordinary methods which do not result with the condensation of gas and is less of the reserve, and all natural gas included the casing, heading, gas, and all other hydrocarbons defined in the paragraph A with the petroleum product means of the liquid fuel commodity made with the from petroleum. Forms of the fuel considered with the petroleum products include all the fuels known as sold as diesel fuel, kerosene, gasoline, fuels containing mixture of the gasoline and other products. Forms of fuel excluded with the definitions are liquid petroleum gas, American Society of the Testing Material Grades number 5 and 6 of the residual oils, bunker C, residual oils, intermediate fuels used for the marine bunkering with a viscosity of 30 or higher, asphalt oils, and petroleum chemical feedstocks. Piping and pipes. Piping means a hollow cylindrical tubular convenience through the regulated substance flow of the pipeline facilities, the piping system right away with any associated equipment, gathering lines, building breakouts, tanks necessary for the long-range transportation, regulated substances, piping substance, submersible turbine pumps, means of linear installed with the secondary containment monitoring port with the top of the tank at the lowest point of the integral piping that detects the releases. Pollution includes the product of defined in section 377-1911 Florida State Statute, pesticides, ammonia, chlorine, derivative throughout the excluding liquid petroleum gas. Pressure testing means that the testing to determine the integral piping performed in accordance with the subparagraph 62, 762, 641, 3E of 1 Florida Administrative Codes. Pressurized piping means the piping that which is regulated substance flow to do the pipe is not located with the dispensing system. Product is defined in subsection in section 377-1911 Florida State Statutes mean the commodity made from the oil. Gas includes refined crude oil, crude tops, the top crude with the preceding processed crude, petroleum residual with crude, petroleum cracking, stocking, uncracked fuel oil, treated crude oil, residual gas oil, casing head, gasoline, natural gasoline, naphtha, distillate, condensation gasoline, used oil, kerosene, benzene, wash oil, blending gasoline, lubricating oils, blending mixtures with oil with one or more liquid products, byproducts derived from the oil or gas, blending mixtures with two or more liquid petroleum, liquid products, byproducts derived from the oil or gas, whether they're adherent or inebriated or not. Regulated substances mean a liquid in standard conditions. Term temperature of the pressure of 60 degrees Fahrenheit at 14.7 pounds per square inch, and and the pollutant will be stored in the above ground storage. The 67 or release means a discharge or a loss of regulated substance from the storage tank in the system. Secondary containment. 68 release detection means a method of determining whether the discharge of regulated substance has occurred, detecting the presence of regulated substance within the storage tank. Secondary containment. Release detection response is the point of measurement, calculation, observation, or level to be established for each of the individual release detection device. The method of the investigation must initiate to determine if the incident or release of discharge has occurred. 70. The repair means the store of the replace or any defective damage for the storage tank of the system. Replacement of non-defective parts that is not repair of the residential storage tank system means a storage tank that is located on property used primarily for the dwelling of the purpose of the storage and use regulated substance in the tank for the residential purposes. Secondary containment must be released of the detection prevention system that meets the performance standards of the paragraph 62, 762, 501E for the administration codes, and to include the dispenser pipe liners, piping system, the double wall tanks, the piping system, the single wall tanks, and piping system that are contained within the liner and previous containment area of release prevention barrier as specified by the American Petroleum Institute Standard 650, Appendix 1, considering secondary containment field erected above ground storage tank bottoms. 73 sheen means a regulated substance less than equal to 100th of the foot in thickness, measured in thickness point of visibility observed floating on the surface of the groundwater within secondary containment shop. Fabricated storage tank, measurement of above ground storage tank constructed with the tank of the manufacturer, plan of the transport of the facility and installation. 75 significant loss or gain means the sum of the losses or gains regulated substance over a 30-day or monthly period of exceeds for the tanks and capacities of between 111 and 2,000 gallons with individual flow through the less than 5,000 gallons during the previous 30 days. 1% of the tank capacity, 1% of the total week output, 50 gallons with it, whichever is greatest for the tank's capacity between 2001 and 29,999 gallons of the tank's individual flow through exceeding the 5,000 gallons during the previous 30 days. 1% of the tank, 1% of the amount of the tank product dispensing during the previous 30 days, plus 130 gallons, whichever is the greatest for the tank's capacity of 30,000 gallons or greater. 1% of the tank of the capacity, 1/2 of the percent of the amount of the product dispensed during the previous 30 days, whichever is greater. The small diameter piping means the integral piping with internal diameter within 3 inches or less, utilized by for transporting regulated substances. Storage dispensing tank system means the tank used for the containing regulated substances, integral piping, and also components including dispensing systems, spill contamination devices, and overfilling protection devices, and secondary contaminant systems, any of the associated release detection equipment. Alright, suction piping means the piping with which regulated substances flow through to the pump located in the dispensing system. The tank that means the enclosed stationary containment structure is designed and used to store regulated substances with the volume of which does include the volume of underground piping is less than 10% of the beneath the surface of the ground. For the purpose of this chapter, the cut and cover tanks are considered above ground storage tank. The temporary out of service is designated for the service status of the field. The erected storage tank that is emptied solely for the purpose of cleaning routine maintenance change for the product of the time of the period exceeding 30 years, but less than 6 months. The above ground storage tank, UST means the above ground storage tank, underground storage tank. The unmaintained means the storage tank that system that was not closed in accordance with the department rules, and out or B, an out of service storage tank that system is not returned to and in service status with. In 5 years of being out of service above ground for above ground storage tanks, 10 years of being out of service of the storage tank system within secondary containment. Upgrade means an additional retrofit, cathodic protection, internal lining, spill prevention, overfilling protection, secondary containment to the storage tank system, installation, single wall corrosion resistant storage tank to improve the ability of the storage tank system preventing the discharge of regulated substances. Vehicular fuel means petroleum product used for the fuel of motor vehicles, including aircraft, watercraft vehicles used on and off roads and rails. Specific authority 376-303, Florida State laws implemented 376-303, Florida State history news, June 21st, 2004. And that takes care of that. What else we got? I'm believing 301 is the next one. Alright, accountability. 62, 762, 301, the chapter of petroleum storage above ground storage tanks. General requirements. Above ground storage tank system for the requirements of the chapter unless specified otherwise apply to the owners and operators of the facility. Owners operate the above ground storage tank system. The individual storage tank capacity is greater than 550 gallons containing the contain vehicular fuel subject to chapter 1761 Florida Administration Codes after May 21st, 1984. Pollutants after March 12, 1991. Pollutants unmaintained the storage tank system above the ground compression vessels. Hazardous substances storage tank owners operators in compression vessels and hazardous substance storage tank with the capacity of greater than 110 gallons containing the hazardous substances are only required to comply with subsection 62, 762, 401, 12 in Florida Administrative Code. The above ground mineral acid storage tank system the owners operators facility owners operated with the above ground mineral acid storage tank system with the capacity of greater than 110 gallons containing mineral acid are only required to comply with the rule 62, 762, 89. And 1 Florida Administrative Code. The rules are applicable to non-residential facilities exemptions following above ground systems exempt with requirements for this chapter. Any storage tank system storing hazardous waste with listed identified on the subtitle C of the Resource Conservation with the Recovery Act of the mixture of such a hazardous waste and other regulated substances. Any storage tank system regulated under the Toxic Substance Control Act, Title 15 U.S. Standard Code 2065. Any pesticide waste degradation system regulated under Chapter 62, 660, Florida Administrative Code. Storage tank system used solely for the temporary storage mixtures, pesticide dilution, or reapplication of pesticides. Any storage tank system with storage tank capacity is less than 30,000 gallons used for the sole purpose of storage, heating oil, consumptive use of permissive where stored. A tank contains asphalt or asphalt products not containing other regulated substances. Storage tank system storing regulated substances with a solid or gaseous stored standard temperature and pressure. A storage tank containing LP gas or any storage tank listing system contains small quantities of de minimis as per Title 40 CFR Section 28010B5 regulated substance. Any wastewater treatment tank system that is part of the wastewater treatment system regulated with the Section 402307B of the Clean Water Act. Any septic tank system, any stormwater wastewater collection system, any surface impoundment pit, pound lagoon, any agricultural storage tank system of 550 gallon capacity or less, any residual storage tank system, and emergency overflow containment storage tank system is emptied as soon as possible after use of the routinely it remains empty in any of the flow through the process tank system, the industrial manufacturing facility, integral piping, consider terminated forward pumping valves used and transferred regulated substance to process production manufacturing points for the use of the system within the facility. Any storage tank of the system liquid and trap is associated with the gathering lines of directed related oil and gas production gathering and operation regulated in Chapter 377 Florida State Statutes. Equipment machinery that contains regulated substance for operational purposes such as the hydraulic lift fluid tank of the system, electrical equipment tank system, any piping of the facility, any storage for the tank facility containing radio nucleitis that is part of the emergency generator system for the nuclear power of the generator facility regulated by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission under the Title 10 CFR Part 50 Appendix A of the vapor recovery holding tanks associated with the vapor recovery piping system or any rail or tanker truck loading unloading of operation loading of the rack specified in Chapter 5 of the NFPA 30. Drip irrigation system that 1 are not in contact with the soil, 2 are constructed in corrosion-resistant material, 3 are compatible with products stored, 4 that contain less than 80% of the concentration of fertilized material by volume, and 5 are applied on site. System is used exclusively for the storage of aqueous solution of the sodium hypochlorite in any mobile tank. AA, any system located entirely within the industrial occupancy of the building. BB, any storage of the tank of the system located entirely within the enclosed building with the vault with the adequate roof with walls to prevent the rainwater from reaching the system. Impervious floor containing no valve drains or other openings would permit the pollution to be discharged from the system that were constructed before July 13, 1998. Any mobile double-wall tank, regardless of how long it was located, facility that is connected with the power module of the system, they use for the emergency supplemental generation electrical power, electrical utility defined in Chapter 366, Florida State Statute. The exemption is limited to the tank of design with the construction to be moved to the other surface location, relocation within the facility from site to site in its use. Specific Authority 376303, Florida State Statute Law implemented 376303, Florida History News, June 21st, 2004. Alright, now this one over here. I'm gonna pause it. All right. 6276.2. 401. Chapter 62762 is petroleum storage tanks above storage tanks. General registration requirements. The owner and the operator of any of the facility, owner of the operative storage tank system of above ground hazardous substance for the tank of the compression valve. A compression vessel shall register the storage tank to the system above the ground horse substance tank of the compression vessel with the department on the form 62761 2. The completed registration form shall be submitted to the department no later than 30 days after regulated hazardous substances are put into the new storage tank system above ground horse hazardous substance tank of the compression vessel. Registration fees, general requirements. Registration fees are due from the tank of the facility owner or the operator indicating the section of the registered storage tank system of the compression valves except for the storage tank of the system that has been properly closed in accordance with the section of section 62762 8013 with the Florida Administration Code. The above ground storage tanks are federally owned and operated facilities. A registration fee of $50 per tank with the vessel shall be submitted for each of the initial registration storage tank system for the compression vessel. These should be paid within 30 days after the receipt of the invoice for the department. The renewal of the fee with the $25 per tank shall be paid for the department for each of the storage tanks not permitting the closure of the requirements of subsection 62762 8013 for the Florida Administration Code by July 1st of each year. The replacement fee of the $25 per tank shall be paid for the department for each of the tank that is replaced for the purpose of the facility upgrading within 30 days after the receipt of the invoice by the department. A late fee of $20 per tank shall be paid to the department for any renewal that received after July 31st. Each of the facilities shall receive the registration placard upon the payment of the applicable fee. The placard shall be displayed in plain view of the office in Kiosic within another suitable location of the facility when the tank is located. Specific requirements: bulk product facility owners and operators shall submit an annual renewal of the $25 for each of the tank of the capacity of 250 gallons or less by July 1st of each of the year, with the annual renewal fee of the $1 for every 10,000 gallons of the storage tank for each of the tank of the storage capacity greater than 250,000 gallons by the July 1st of each of the year, but not exceeding $1,000 per tank. In no circumstances while the owner or the operator of the facility pay annual fee greater than $5,000 for any pollutant storage of tanks located in the facility. Compression vessels owned above ground horse hazardous substances storage tanks. The owner or operator shall submit the renewal fee of $25 per tank of the vessel of the department by July 1st each of the year. If no circumstances while the owner or operator of the facility pay an annual fee agreement greater than $25,000 for all registered compression vessels above ground horse hazardous substances storage tanks located in the facility. Financial requirements and general requirements. The owner of the operative facility individual tanks. If the owner of the different ownership shall demonstrate financial responsibility in the department of the owner operator of the tank of the separate person with only the person required to demonstrate the financial responsibility over the both of a person liability, even with non-compliance financial responsibility, if and only is required for the tank containing petroleum or petroleum product. Financial responsibility is ability to pay the corrective action of third-party liability resulting from the discharge of the facility. Demonstrating the financial responsibility shall be made by the owner of the owner operated with accordance with the CFR Title 40 of the Part 280 of the Subpart H. Owners and operators shall substitute the above ground, and underground for underground where they are applicable if any documentation is required with the CFR Title 40, Part 280, Subpart H, that is submitted with the department and demonstrate the financial responsibility. 3. The financial responsibility requirement for the petroleum storage system containing with the petroleum product may be supplemented by the participation in Florida Petroleum Liability Restoration and Insurance Program through consent provided with the section of 376.3072 Florida State Statutes. Notwithstanding the owner or the operator's financial responsibility status for the owner and the operator may, in accordance with the Chapter 376 or 403 Florida State statutes, may be liable to discharge at the facility. Above ground storage tank system. The minimum requirement for the financial responsibility for the above ground storage system containing petroleum and petroleum products became effective January 1st, 1995, and the same as the provided in CFR Title 40, Part 280, Subpart H, except the following: 4. Storage tank systems with a capacity greater than 550 gallons, less than or equal to 10,000 gallons, to demonstrate the financial responsibility corrective action. Third-party liability shall minimum of $500,000 per incident or $1 million annual aggregated. For the storage tank system with a capacity greater than 10,000 gallons, less than or equal to 30,000 gallons, to demonstrate the financial responsibility for the corrective action. Third-party liability shall be minimum of $1 million per incident, $1 million aggregated. 3. For the storage tank system with the capacity greater than 30,000 gallons, less than or equal to 200,000 gallons, to demonstrate some financial responsibility for the corrective action. Then third-party liability shall be a minimum of $1 million per incident and $2 million annual aggregated. For the storage tank system with a capacity greater than 250,000 gallons, demonstrate the financial responsibility for the corrective action. Third-party liability shall be a minimum of $3 million per incident or $6 million annual aggregated. Specific Authority 376-303 Florida State Law implemented 376-303 Florida State History News, June 21st, 2004. All right, and that was 401. I believe we missed one of them, the reference standards, so we're going to go over that now. All right, your reference standards. 62.7.6, still in the chapter petroleum storage system, above ground storage tanks. 60 chapter code, Florida Administrative Code 62.762.211, reference standard for the available inspection for the county office, the Department of Environmental Protection District. Tallahassee office may be attained with the following sources: ACI International, American Concrete Institute, Post Office, P.O. Box 9094, Farmington Hills, Michigan 48333, 9094 2488 48 3000 3700, American Petroleum Institute, and 1220 L Street, North Washington, D.C. 20005 202 682 8000. The SAME International, American Association of Mechanical Engineers, 22 Law Drive, Box 2300, Fairfield, New Jersey 07007 2300 800 843 2763. Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Storage Tank Regulation, Section 2600, Blair Stone Road, MS 4525, Tallahassee Road 32399, 2400 850 245 8839. NACE International, National Association of Corrosion Engineers, Post Box 218340, Houston, Texas 772 18 8340 281 492 0535. National Fire Protection Institute Association 1 Battery Mark Park, Post Office Box 9101, Quincy, Massachusetts 0269 9101 800 344 3555. Petroleum Equipment Institute, Post Box 2380, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74101 238 918 494 9696. Security Protective Coating of the 20th Street, 24th Street, 6th floor of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 1522, 246 43 412 281 2331. Steel Tank Institute of 570 Oakwood Road, Lake Zurich, Illinois, 647 847 438 8265. Underwriters Laboratory 33 Piffington Road, Northbrook, Illinois, 662 209 2096 8047 847 272 8800. And Government Printing Offices, Superintendent Documentation and Attention, New Orders, Post Office Box 371954, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 15250 7954 202 1800. Titles and documents referenced in the documentation are listed in the paragraph A through K below are made through this chapter. Each of the document part of this document incorporated the standard only with the extent specified reference in this chapter. ACI International, AACI International, controlling with the cracking, the construction, concrete structure, environmental engineering control, concrete structure, American Petroleum Institute, standards, specification bolted and tanks of the storage production liquid, specification field weld tanks of the storage production liquids, specification shop welding tanks, storage production liquids, specification fiberglass reinforced plastic tanks, piping inspection code, inspection, repair, alteration, re-rating, in-service piping systems, American Petroleum Institute Standard 620, design, construction, large welded, low pressure storage tanks. Where are we? API Standard 650, welded steel tanks for the oil storage. 651, cathodic protection above ground petroleum storage. 652, lining of the above ground petroleum storage tank bottom. 653, tank inspection, repair, alteration, reconstruction. API recommended practice 110, recommended practice of the pressure testing liquid petroleum pipelines. API recommended 230-50, overall protection of the petroleum storage tanks. ASME International liquid petroleum system with the hydrocarbon, liquid petroleum gas, anhydrous ammonia, alcohols, and welded aluminum oil storage tanks. Florida Department of Environmental Protection Storage Tank System Closure Assignment Requirements of April 1998, Air Guidelines of Vapor Monitoring April 1998, Guidelines Suitable to Determination of External Monitoring February 1998, NACE International, Starry RPO 1619 Controlling External Corrosion on Ground of Submerged Metallic Piping System, Lang's NACE Standard, Lining Over Concrete, Emergent Surface and NACE Standard External Cathodic Protection on Ground, Metallic Storage Tank Bottoms, National Fire Protection Agency, National Fire Protection Association, Flammable Combustible Liquid Codes of Automotive Marine Certification Code for handling underground releasable flammable combustible liquids, and FPA Guideline Guide to Vending of the Deflagration, Standard for the Explosion Prevention System, Standard of the Type of the Building Concentration, Petroleum Equipment Institute recommended for the petroleum installation, above ground storage systems, and motor vehicle fueling, Society Protective Coating. Designing insulation, maintenance, and coating system for the concrete used for the secondary containment. Society for Protective Coating, painting application specification number 1. Steel Tank Institute recommended practice for the corrosion protected with the underground piping networks associated with liquids and storage dispensing. The Steel Tank Institute standard for a diked above ground storage tank. It also stands for the above ground tanks integral secondary containment, underwriter laboratory standards, steel above ground tanks for flammable combustible liquids, pipe connection with petroleum products with LP gas, non-metallic underground piping for flammable liquids, protected above ground flammable combustible liquids, government printing office code, federal regulation, Title 33, Part 154, July 1997, Title 33, Part 156, Part 170, July 1970, July 1997, Title 40, Part 112, July 1997, Title 40, Part 280, Subpart H, July 1997, Title 40, Part 302, July 1997. Title 49, Part 184, October 1996. 3 applicable reference standards unless otherwise specified in the rule. The category A and B, the facilities are subject to the reference standard list of the department. Storage tank, the rules effective at the time of the facility construction operation. Category C, which shall comply with the subsection 62, 762, 211, 2 Florida Administrative Codes on and after July 13, 1998. Special Authority 376-303 Florida State Laws implemented 376-303 Florida State History News, June 21st, 2004. Alright, moving on to 451. Alright. Still in the chapter of petroleum storage tanks, above ground storage systems of Florida Administrative Codes 62, 762, 451, notification and reporting notification requirements. Verbal written notice shall be provided to the county at least 30 days before the installation upgraded to meet the requirements of Rule 62, 762, 501 Florida Administration Codes. But if the county agrees with a short time period, at least 10 days before the initial internal inspection of the underground storage tank, the API 653 internal inspection, change in surface status of the closure assessment, any of which of the performed to meet the requirements of this chapter at least 48 hours before the initiating activity specified in subparagraph 1 and 2 of the above to confirm the date and time of the scheduled activity establishment, the temporary out of service status for the field erection of the above ground storage tank, performing any tightness required for the under this chapter before closing in of the county next business day with the emergency change the out of service status be made but required by the Rule 62, 762, 821 Florida Administrative Code. Verbal written notification activity specified in subparagraph 1 and 2 of the above performed as a direct result of the emergency chaining and the services shall be made in the county before the initiating activities within 30 days after completing. The owner of the operator shall notify the department of the following items: storage tank registration form 62, 761, 902, any change of the ownership of the facility of the storage tank system. Notice of the change of the ownership is provided with the department of the new owner. The notice shall include the copy of the bill and the sale with the letter of acceptance with the new owner of the closure upgrading the storage of the tank system. Any change of the correction information regarding report of the registration, including the change of the type of the regulated with the substance or with the change of the same blended regulated substance, should not be reported with regular unleaded with the premium unleaded gasoline. The establishment of the changes to the method of demonstrating financial responsibility required in subsection 62, 762, 401, 3 of the Florida Administrative Codes, incident and notification requirement. Notification to discover the following incidents shall be made with the county incident notification form 62, 761, 760. FAC62 within 24 hours before the closure of the next county's next business day. It failed the inclusive tightness pressure of the breach with the integrity test for the internal inspection results, including perforations, corrosion, holes, voltage failures, other similar defects indicate that the release could have occurred unless operation conditions such as the erratic behavior of the product with the dispensing equipment, the sudden loss of the product from the storage tank system, or any unexpected presence of water in the tank of the unexplained presence of the water within or without the machine and the piping system, unless the system and the equipment is found to be defective, not leaking, the presence of water regulated with the substance of surface water and grounded water, soil, basements, and sewers, and utility lines, facility in the surrounding area with which be reasonably conducted, the release of the discharge may occur. The loss of the regulated substance from the storage tank exceeding 100 gallons impervious surface other than the secondary containment, such as the driveway, area, runways, other than similar asphalts and concrete surfaces provided with the loss does not come in contact with the previous surfaces. The loss of the regulated substances exceeding 500 gallons includes inside a dike field and area within secondary containment. The positive response to the release of the detection device method described in Rule 62, 762, 641, Florida Administrative Codes approved under the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2. Florida Administrative Codes, the positive response shall be indicated with the release of the regulated substance exceedance of the release detection response level of the breach integrity with the storage tank system, the presence of the free product with the piping the incident notification form 62, 761, 906 with need not to be submitted within 24 hours of the discovery of an incident before the closing of the county's next business day. The investigation of the incident confirms that the discharge did not occur. An incident notification was previously submitted for the incident discharge reporting requirements. Upon discovery and unreported discharge, the owner-operator shall report the following county on discharge. Report form 62, 761, 901 for the 24 hours before the closure of the county next business day. Result of the receipt with the result for the analytical field test of the surface water, groundwater indicating the presence of the contamination of hazardous substance from the underground storage system. The regulated substance of the petroleum product chemicals concerning specified in Table 5 and 7 of the applicable Chapter 62, 770 Florida Administrative Code 3 product achieved. The regulated with the substance and regulated substance. This is visible or observed in the soil, the surface of water with the ground sample, the basement floors, the subsurface utilities, conduit vaults, and sewer lines, facilities, and the surrounding areas. The spill overfilled with the vent with regulated substance of the soil other than any other preference. The previous surface equal to the exceeding the 25 gallons of the regulated substance with the more stringent reporting requirements specified in Title CFR Title 40 Part 302. The previous analytical field test of the soil indicating the presence of the contamination here has a substance of underground storage system, tanks system, the regulated substance with any of the petroleum product chemicals concerned with the exceeded lower the direct exposure to one or leachability to Table 5 with the cleaning up of the target levels specified in Table 4 with the Chapter 62, 770. Less due to spill overfill with the event of the quantities less for the described in subparagraph 3 above. The soil same with the regulated with the substances that are observed during the closure of the assessment performed in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 8014. The copies of the analytical field test result confirm the discharge from the submitted with the county. The discharge report 62, 761, 901 is the request for the retraction and submitted with the discharge report form may be submitted with the county department if the evidence was represented with the discharge did not occur with the facility. The discharge report form 62, 761, 901. It does not need to be submitted for previous reported discharge. Specific Authority 376, 303, 376, 309, Florida State Law implemented 376, 303, and 376, 309, Florida State History Laws, June 21st, 2004. Alright, we got about 8 of these to go. We're moving on to 500. Continuing to petroleum storage above ground storage tanks. Florida Administration Codes 62, 762, 501 Performance Standards of Category C Storage Tank System. The general performance standards above ground storage tanks Category C system constructed and installed in accordance with the requirements of the section of above ground storage tanks Category C. The system shall be made internally aligned with the materials and capability with the regulated substances stored in the system. The following requirements are applicable to above ground storage tanks Sitting in the person out advised with the pursuant the paragraph 62, 521, 400, 11, and through N, subsection 2, with the Florida Administrative Storage Tank shall be installed within 500 feet of the existing community water supply system, is it an existing non-transit, non-community water supply system. No category C system shall be installed within 100 feet of any other existing potable water supply. These prohibitions shall not apply with the replacement of the existing storage tank shall be the same as the excavating dike field area with the addition of the new storage system system C meeting the standard for the category C with the system at the existing facility. Exterior coatings of the exterior portion of the above ground storage of the above ground integral piping excluding the double walled system shall be coated but otherwise protected with external corrosion. The coating should be designed and applied to resist the corrosion, deterioration, degradation of the exterior wall. SYSTEMSASTPART1 paint application specification number 1 may be used to protect storage tank systems from external corrosion. Spill containment of the underground storage tanks is fabricated with the above ground storage tank shall be installed with the spill containment system with each of the tank fill connection. Spill containment system shall be fixed with the component designed to prevent the discharge of the regulated substances when the transfer hose of the pipe is detached from the tank of the fill of the pipe. The spill containment system shall be meet the requirements of paragraph 62, 762, 501, 1E, Florida Administration Code. The dispensing system is used for the transfer of the rules of the storage tank shall be installed and maintained in accordance with the provision of the NFPA 30 with the chapters 2, 4, and 9 of the NFPA 30A. Dispensers shall be designed, constructed, and maintained to provide with the excess examination, removal of the collective product of the accumulated water. Dispenser line secondary containment of the matters used with the secondary containment shall be the impervious regulated substance able to withstand deterioration of external environmental conditions. Non-corrosive, corrosion-protected material capable of containing regulated substances for at least 30 days. The other sufficient thickness and strength to withstand the hydrostatic forces is the maximum capacity to prevent discharge during the operational life. Liners, and unless the previously operated with the department, shall be approved with the department in accordance by the subsection 62, 762, 85, 1, 85, 1, 2. The Florida Administrative Code. Liners shall not be constructed within consisting of normal, naturally occurring in studio soils. And secondary containment of the construction of the concrete shall be designed constructed in accordance with the ACI 350 R89 and ACI 224 R89 or line visible interior surface of the dike field area in accordance with the NACE International Standards RP 089292, the SSPC publication 9704, the design and initial installation maintenance of the coating system for the concrete used for the secondary containment or the design evaluated certified professional engineer registered in the state of Florida with the concrete secondary containment system meets the general construction requirements specified in paragraph 62, 762, 501, 1E1 Florida Administration Code for the cathodic protected tank of the integral piping the secondary containment system shall interfere with the operation of the cathodic protection system, the storage tank system, the equipment will be closed for the internal spaces, interstitial spaces such as double bottom of the above ground storage tank, double walled integral piping in contact with the system, soil and connected with the above ground storage tank shall be designed with the construction installed with the allowed detection of the breach of the integrity of the inner and outer wall with the monitoring the interstitial spaces in accordance with the paragraph 62, 762, 641, 3A of the Florida Administration Code. A breach of integrity test shall be performed from the above before the above ground before the storage tank is put into the surface of the secondary containment system shall be designed and installed with the direct and any of the relief of the monitoring points of the point, airport and sea point, hydrant point, pipe pits, underground hydro pits shall be installed with the spill catchment basin, secondary containment, other spill prevention equipment to prevent the discharge of pollution during fuel and aircraft vessels at any of the other time the hydrant system is in use. Each of the such equipment shall be sealed into and around the hydrant piping and impervious compatibility material. 8. The pre-field fabricated dispenser line of the piping of the system something insulated with the before July 1998 and that do not have the approved in accordance with the Rule 62, 762, 85, 1. Cathodic protection testing station. The cathodic protection system shall be designed, constructed, and installed with at least one testing station method of monitoring to allow the determination of the current operating staff. The cathodic protection test station shall be provided with direct access to the soil electrolyte inclusive of the proximity with each of the cathodic protected surfaces and placement with the reference electrode monitoring with the wires connected directly to the cathodic protected structure of the facility with direct access to the soil close to the proximity of the cathodic protected structure present where the electrode connection to the cathodic protected surfaces can be conventionally accomplished, needing not to separate the dedicated cathodic protection testing station. 2. The cathodic protection system shall be operated and maintained in accordance with paragraph 62, 762, 701, 1B, and any of the field installed cathodic protection shall be designed with the corrosion professional relocation of the above ground storage tanks. The tanks shall be removed and thereby reinstalled with a different location. Shall or field erected tanks comply with the API standard 653. The shop fabricated tanks reinstalled in accordance with the manufacturer's specification, if applicable, with the standard of the rule 62, 762, 501 Florida Administrative Codes, where the were in effect of July 13, 1998. Reusable storage tanks, unless rectified for the use of the professional engineer registered in the state of Florida, is rectified, but the manufacturer is brought with the service in accordance with Rule 62, 762, 501 Florida Administrative Codes. The above ground storage tanks, underground storage tanks cannot be reused as an above ground storage tank for the storage of regulated substances. An above ground storage tank cannot be reused for the underground storage tanks of regulated substances. Above ground storage tank systems installation of all the components of the storage tank shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer instruction. Storage tank system shall be installed in accordance with the applicable provision of the NFPA 30 with the NFPA 30 PEI RP 296. The truck tank construction shop fabricated tanks shall be constructed in accordance with one of the following: UL 142 API standard 620, API specification 12B, 12F, and 12P. STIF 91193, STIF 921, ASM EB 961, or UL 285. The field directed tanks shall be constructed in accordance with one of the following: ASM EB 961, API standard 620, 650. API specification 12B and 12D. The field directed tanks shall inspect the test for frequency in accordance with the API standard 653. The maintained with the length of the type, the life of the tank. The steel tanks in contact with the soil have the cathodic protection system meeting with the following requirements: the cathodic protection designing the construction installed in accordance with the API RP 651 NACE and the international standard the RP 1019393. Field installed in the cathodic protection system shall be designed with the corrosion professional. The cathodic protection system shall be designed and installed with at least one of the test stations in accordance with subparagraph 62, 762, 501, 1F1 Florida Administration Code. Method of monitoring to allow determination of current operating statuses, and the cathodic protection shall be operated and maintained in accordance with the paragraph 62, 762, 701, 1B Florida Administration Code. The tank constructed of any other material design corrosion protection shall be approved by the Department in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 Florida Administration Code. Secondary containment: all tanks installed with the construction at the facility after July 13, 1998, with the secondary containment beneath the tank with the dike of the field area, except for the following: the tank containing the high velocity regulated substance, except for the requirement of the secondary containment. However, the use of the waste oil, regardless of the viscosity, that has the secondary containment beneath the tank of the dike of the field area with the double wall shop fabricated tank is approved with the accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 Florida Administration Codes do not have to be installed with the dike field area with shop fabricated tanks containing the petroleum contact water pursuant to 62, 740 Florida Administration Code, subject to shaft to the elevated above, but not in contact with the soil, that have an impervious surface directly beneath the area of the tank of the field. They are active with the tank of the use of the temporary storage with petroleum contact with water pursuant chapter 62, 740 of the Florida Administrative Code. They are subject to the chapter that has been passed and internal inspection for the structural integrity in accordance with the API standard 653. The above ground storage tank category C field erected with the tank is constructed with the dike field area. ST category A with the field erected tank shall have the secondary containment beneath the tank that shall not be required to have secondary containment within the dike field area until the December 31st, 1990. Release prevention barriers are such that the double bottomed liners under other tank secondary containment system for a field erected tank shall be designed and constructed in accordance with the API 650. Dike field areas shall be the secondary containment shall be conform with requirements of NFPA 30 of the chapter 2 and 3. Containing a minimum of 110% the maximum capacity of the tank of the largest single wall of the tank of the field area. The capacity of the capacity calculation shall include the volume occupied with over the average of the footprint of the tank bottom of the largest tank with the dike field area. If no approved or otherwise protected with the accumulation of the rainfall, constructed with the manually controlled pump or the siphon the grade of the drain pipe with the manually controlled valve to remove the accumulated liquids. Gravity drain pipe shall be designed to constructed to prevent the discharge in the event of the fire. Have all the integral piping and other penetration that pass through the secondary containment of the dike field area sealed in and around with the outside of the penetration with impervious compatible material to prevent the discharge of the pollutants, and if it's constructed with the seal be tested in accordance with the UL 142 overfilled protection. No other transfer of regulated substance shall be made unless the volume available for the tank is greater than the volume of the regulated substance to be transferred. The transfer should be repeatedly monitored to prevent overfilling. 2. An overfill protection shall be performed in accordance with the API RP 23050. A minimum fill box cover that shall be marked in accordance with the API RP 1637, an equivalent method approved by the Department in accordance with the subsection 62762. It's 851.2 Florida Administration Codes. All tanks shall be equipped with at least one of the following: a gauge of the other measuring device accurately shows the level of the pollution in the tank visible to the person who is monitoring the filling, and a high-level warning alarm, high-level liquid flow cutoff control the impervious DAG field area, than another device around the accordance with the subsection 62762 851.2 Florida Administration Code. Calibrated stick measurement of high-level pollutants in the tank shall only be used for the tanks with a capacity of 15,000 gallons or less, and not be loaded with a high-volume pressure nozzle such. The tank shall not be loaded with 95% of capacity, and dispenser lines. Dispensers connected with the above-ground storage tank system that are installed with the replaced after July 13, 1998 shall be installed with the liners meeting with the performance standard for the paragraph 62762.501(1)(e) of the Florida Administration Code beneath the union of the piping of the dispenser mounted directly upon the tank of the air. Except for this requirement, the hydrostatic test shall be performed with all dispenser limits and liners before placing the system in the service of the duration of the tests. Shall be at least 24 hours from the field fabricated dispenser liners. The 3 hours the factory made with the dispenser liners shall be installed to allow the interstitial monitoring in accordance with the paragraph 62762 641.3a for administration codes. Piping and sumps installed. Piping sumps are installed with after July 13, 1998 shall meet the performance standards of the paragraph 62762 501(1)(e of the Florida Administration Code. The sumps shall be designed in construction. In the install with the minimalized watering entering sump, the hydrostatic test should be performed to all pumping sumps before placing the system in the service. The duration of the test shall be at least 24 hours of the field fabricated piping sumps, 3 hours of factory made piping sumps. Piping sumps should be installed and allowed the interstitial monitoring in accordance with the paragraph 62762 641.3a of the Florida Administration Codes. Integral piping from the above ground storage tank with installation. All integral piping shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instruction if applicable. Integral piping shall be installed in accordance with the applicable provision, the NFPA 30 of the NFPA 30A and the ASME B31.4. A tightness test shall be performed underground small diameter piping associated with the above ground storage tank before a new underground piping system is placed into service. The pressure test shall be performed underground bulk product piping before the piping system is placed into service. All the piping that is not in contact with the soil insulated after July 13, 1998 shall meet the construction standards of the paragraphs 62, 762, 501, 3A and D, A through D Florida Administration Codes. B. Integral piping and construction standards. 1. Fiberglass reinforced plastic piping and other non-metallic piping insulated with the facilities shall be listed with the UL 97.1 or UL 56.7, certified with the national recognized laboratory that these standards are met and approved in accordance with the subparagraph 62, 762, 501.33 B3. 3. Coated steel meeting piping shall be constructed in accordance with the ASME B31.4 with integral piping contact with the soil shall be cathodic protected in accordance with the API RP 1632 NACE International RP 016996 and the Steel Tank Institute R89296. Integral piping constructed with other materials designed corrosion protection shall be approved with the department in accordance with the subsection 62762 851.2 Florida Administration Codes. Alright, small diameter piping. The pressurized small diameter piping connected with the dispenser shall be installed with the shear valves of the emergency shutoff with the valves in accordance with the NFPA 30A with the section 436. The applicable to these valves shall be designed to close automatically if the dispenser is dislodged with integral piping. The valves shall be rigidly anchored independently of the dispenser. Gravity-fed small diameter integral piping system must be included with the installation valve. The point of the connection to the storage tank to prevent the discharge of regulated substance. In the case of the piping failure, the valve shall meet the standard of the NFPA 30A, Section 217. The swing joints shall not be installed with the product piping. The bulk product piping shall be constructed and installed in accordance with the NFPA 30 with the ASME B31.4. The secondary containment, the small diameter integral piping that is in contact with the soil shall transport regulated substances over surface waters of the state that has been secondary containment. The bulk product piping that is in contact with the soil has been secondary containment. The remote filling pipe that is in contact with the soil shall have secondary containment. Integral piping that is in contact with the soil that is connected with the storage tank containing the high velocity regulated substances except for the requirements for the secondary containment. Specific Authority 376 303 Florida State Law, Florida Implemented 376 303 Florida State History News, June 21st 2014 or 2004. Alright, that takes care of 501. Let's see, 501. Moving on to 511. Alright, returning to the above ground storage tank section for the petroleum storage tanks in 62762, Florida Administrative Code 62762-511 performance standard for the Category A and the Category B storage tank system. Generally, the section provided the deadline for the Category A and the Category B storage tank system to meet the standard for the Category C for the storage tank in accordance with the rule 62762-501 and Florida Administration Codes. A, installation shall be complete with the deadline specified in the table A above ground storage tank. However, the installation of the above ground upgrade activities are initiated before the deadline work and can continue after the deadlines, provided that all the work is completed within 90 days after the control direct execution and receipt of the construction approval and permanent installation is considered to have begun on if the all federal states and local approval of the permit that have been obtained applied with the beginning with the physical construction for the installation of the system. The contractual obligations have been made for the installation of the system, which cannot be canceled, modified without the substantial economic loss provided with the such obligation, are pursued diligently in good faith to achieve the requirement for this rule by December 31st, 1998. All pressurized small diameter piping connected with the dispenser shall have the share well valves and emergency shut-off valves installed in accordance with the paragraph 62762-5013C Florida Administration Code. The cathodic protection testing station shall be installed in accordance with the subparagraph 62762-5011F1 Florida Administration Board cathodic protection above ground storage systems without testing stations. Above ground storage tank systems have been reinstalled as underground storage tank systems, meeting the requirements of Rule 62762-501 F Florida Administrative Codes after July 13, 1998. A closure assessment shall be performed in accordance with the subsection 62762-8014 Florida Administrative Codes before the installation of the dispenser liners, the piping system, and the secondary containment of the tanks, integral piping, the valves, meeting the requirements of the section 217 of the NFPA 30A, which shall be installed with the January 13, 1990 of any of the storage tank system located at an elevation that produces the gravity head of the dispenser on the small diameter piping. Small diameter piping transporting the regulated substance over the surface water of the state shall have the secondary containment of the December 31st of 2004. Above ground storage tank system with all storage tank systems that have a capacity greater than 550 gallons with containing vehicle fuel that were subject to Chapter 1761 Florida Administrative Code that have meet the requirements of the such chapter in January 1st, 1990. As above ground storage tank Category B with the exemption of the tanks except for the underground subcategory up to 62762-501 2C1A, the Florida Administrative Codes installed with the constructed at a facility after the March 12th, 1991 have the secondary containment for the tank. Integral piping that is contact with the soil that is connected with the above ground storage tank that shall have the secondary containment if installed with the after March 12th, 1991 of the integral piping under subparagraph 62762-501-3E4. Florida Administrator is not required to install the secondary containment by January 1st. By January 1st, the appropriate year of the shown on the table, the above ground storage tank below, and unless specified otherwise, all as above ground storage category A and B storage tank systems shall meet the following requirements on the permanently closed in accordance with subsection 62762-8013 Florida Administration Codes. The table assessment year tank with integral piping installed before the year July 13, 1998, the P93, 1993, 2000 TVX, 2005 W, and 2010 U. The key in the table, the above ground storage tank, the P, with the exemption of the high velocity product of the piping, bulk product piping in contact with the soil, not secondary with the containment, shall be tested in accordance with the API RPI 1110 ASME B314 or an equivalent method approved by the department in accordance with Rule 62762-851 Florida Administrative Codes. Such testing shall be performed annually thereafter. T is with the exemption of the sitting of the material construction that standards category A and B shall meet the performance standard of the Rule 62762-501 in addition. A storage tank system construction standard that includes the cathodic protection remaining applicable. The storage tank with the entire bottom of the tank is in contact with the concrete does not meet the and did not have the seal of the concrete beneath until such of the time of the tank at the bottom is replaced out with the concrete secondary containment system designed within accordance with the subparagraph 62762-501-1E3A. Florida Administrative Codes do not have to be sealed. The Category A bulk product non-contact with the soil shall be upgraded with secondary contamination unless a structural elevation performed in accordance with the API 570 and specified in the U2B with the table A as above ground storage tank results in the structural evaluation indicated with the bulk product piping as remaining useful life. B. The integral piping conveys the high viscosity of the regulated substance that accepts the secondary contamination in accordance with the subparagraph 62, 762, 501, 384 with the Florida Administration Code. The integral piping is protected with the corrosion and is tested annually in accordance with the ASME B314 with the API 1110 and the equivalent method approved with the department in accordance with the Rule 62, 762, 851 with the piping as secondary to contaminate by January 1st, 2010 in accordance with the table, the above ground storage tank tanks. 3. Initial internal and external inspection examination for the test of each of the tanks shall be performed in accordance with the API Standard 653. Appropriate re-inspection intervals for each of the tanks shall be established in accordance with the API Standard 653. If any of the deficiencies discovered during the inspection, the person performing the evaluation of the tank in accordance with the API 653 must verify the tank is ready for the service before the storage of the tank is put back into the service. The verification be documented with the internal inspection records. Future tests of each of the tanks shall be performed in accordance with the inspection interval established with the accordance with the API 653 1996 baseline inspection already conducted according with the API Standard 653 1991 will be accepted as an alternative to installation secondary containment underneath the above ground storage tank category A or B. The storage tank at the interior bottom of the tank or at least 18 inches of the upside may be internally lined with accordance with the API or American Petroleum Institute recommended practice 652. Secondary containment must not nonetheless be installed in the dike field area with a continuously bonded with the permit with the tank of the foundation U. 1. All internally lined single bottom of the storage tanks with exemptions tank except under the paragraph 62, 762, 501, 4A of the Florida Administrative Code should be upgraded in secondary containment. All the above ground storage tank category A bulk with the product piping in contact with the soil except for the piping is exempt for the secondary containment requirements under the subparagraph 62, 762, 501, 8B, 4 of the Florida Administration Code shall be upgraded with the secondary containment in accordance with the paragraph 62, 762, 501, 1E of the Florida Administrative Codes. Instead of being upgraded, the secondary containment may be evaluated as structural integrity by the establishing and maintaining the piping section intervals in accordance with the API 570 and Section 4.2 for the January 1st, 2000. Determine the remaining life of the system in accordance with the API 570 to Section 5.0 by January 1st, 2000. If the determination indicates the piping must be repaired in place, but the piping shall be repaired within 3 months for determining in accordance with the API 570. Rule 62, 762, 701 Florida Administration Code is leaking with it, then the piping must be immediately taken out of the operation. If the pipe cannot be repaired, it must be closed, upgraded with the secondary contaminated within 1 year of the determination is not leaking but is corroded to a point where there no longer has structural integrity, then the piping shall be closed and upgraded with the secondary containment by January 1st, 2000. Has the remaining useful life of the piping shall be closed and upgraded with the secondary contamination when the API 570 inspection remaining life determination data indicates the closure of replacement necessary provided with the certification professional engineer registered with the state of Florida for the evaluation meets the above criteria with the V. Secondary containment with the cut of the over the cover concrete storage and tanks of the spill containment in accordance with the paragraph 62, 762, 501, 1C Florida Administration Codes dispensary Leonard with the shop fabricated tanks in accordance with the paragraph 62, 762, 501, 2E with the Florida Administrative Code secondary containment in accordance with the paragraphs 62, 762, 5011E and 2 and C in the Florida Administrative Code. The dike fields are the areas of the facility. Shop fabricated tanks have diking field areas secondary contaminated with structured concrete insulated with the synthetic liners and non-meeting these requirements. W. Secondary containment in accordance with the paragraph of the 262, 762, 501E and 3C of the Florida Administrative Code. The dike fields area of the facility where the field erected tanks have dike field area. Secondary containment that is construction concrete installed with the synthetic liners are not to meet these requirements. Secondary containment with the small diameter piping extending over the surface water. Secondary containment with the small diameter pumping, petroleum contact wire pumping, water pumping the contact with the soil. The axis of the deadline determine integrity with a single wall bulk with the product piping with the API 570 structural integrity evaluation in accordance with the option of the category A system AU within the table A above ground storage tank. Specific authority 376 303 Florida State Law implemented 376 303 Florida State History News 6 21st June 21st 2004. Alright, we are now on 601. 762.701 release detection standards. The general storage tank system shall have the method, a combination of the method of release detection that can detect a new release with any of the ports of the storage tank if it is installed with the calibrated with the operator to maintain in accordance with the manufacturer instruction, included the routine maintenance of the service check for the operator to ensure the device is functional as is designed, meet the applicable performance standards in Rule 62.762.641. Full administrative code to all manufacturer instructions and the performance of the claim, the manner of the determination but described in the writing of the equipment the manufacturer installer shall be retained as long as the storage tank is used. The release detection response level shall be described in writing for each of the method combination of the method of the release detection used for the storage tank system. Release detection method should be established and provided with all storage tank systems upon installation, except for the otherwise specified in Rule 62.762 through 601 and through 641 of the Florida Administration or the release detection method of the combination of the bolt method used in the facility shall be performed at least once a month, but not exceeding 35 days to determine the release for the storage tank of the system has occurred at least once a month, but not exceeding 35 days in any storage tank of the component with the storage tank that can be inspected visually shall be visually inspected in accordance with the paragraph 62.762.641(e)(2)(a). The visual inspection is not required for any system component with a continuous monthly and electronic release detection sensor. Continuous electronic detection devices shall be inspected with the proper operation on an only monthly basis. Inspection may consist of visual operation or remote verification of proper operation. Site-suitable determination shall be performed with the underground storage system by December 31st, 1998 and January 1st, 2000 for the above-ground storage system in accordance with the paragraph 62.762.641(2)(a) and D, A through D, and Florida Administrative Code. The storage tanks using the underground water with the vapor monitoring well to release detection, and the site-suitable determination indicates for the on-site condition that are unsuitable for the external monitoring and other methods of release detection must be used. The vapor monitoring plans shall be performed in the January 1st, 2000 above-ground storage tanks in accordance with paragraph 62.762.641(2)(d) with the Florida Administrative Code. The storage tank system of using the vapor monitoring for the release detection and component of the storage tank system. Secondary containment shall have the internal interstitial monitoring method meeting the requirements in paragraph 62.762.641(3)(a) in Florida Administrative Codes. Pressurized piping, including the bulk product piping, shall be equipped with a line leaking detector that meets the standards of the subgraphic paragraph 62.762.641(3)(c)(1). Florida Administrative Code. Gravity piping system are exempt from this requirement. Any storage tank that is not provided with this method combination of the method release detection in accordance with the section shall be closed in accordance with the subsection 62.762.801(3) of the Florida Administrative Code. Data upon with the release detection is to be provided. Groundwater vapor monitoring wells meeting with the standard of the external monitoring specified with the care paragraph 62.762.641(a)(d). Florida Administrative Code. No other use of release detection should be closed in accordance with the subsection 62.532.504 and Florida Administrative Code. December 31st, 2010. Wells not meeting the C standards should be closed in accordance with subsection 62.532.504 of the Florida Administrative Codes by December 31st, 1998, unless all these wells are used for the contamination assessment purposes specified Rule 62.770. Florida Administrative Code required, but the rules adopted by the county with the government in accordance with the section 7376, 317 Florida Administrative Codes above storage ground tank system. The following method of release detection for the implemented before March 12, 1991 should be capable of detecting leaking rate of the quantity specified with the paragraph 62.762.641(1)(a) of the Florida Administrative Code of December 31st, 1990. If any of the groundwater monitoring plans meet the requirements of Rule 62.528.700 of the Florida Administrative Codes, any spill prevention control countermeasure plans is required by the Title 40 CFR Section 112 with all monitoring wells used for the release of detection shall meet the standards of the subsection 62.762.641(2) Florida Administrative Code January 1st, 2000 be properly closed in accordance with the subsection 62.532 and 504 Florida Administrative Codes. Release detection for the field erected with the storage tanks with the secondary containment beneath the tank shall comply with the API standard 650 Appendix A and 1. The storage tank upgraded with the internal lining shall be completing with the installation of the internal lining to be provided. With the method of releasing the detection meeting the standard of the subsection 62.762.641(2) Florida Administrative Codes above ground storage tank integral piping contact with the soil shall be provided with the method of combination of the method releasing detection integral piping the contact with the soil having secondary contaminant shall have the interstitial monitoring single walled integral piping in contact with the soil that shall have the release detection meeting with the requirements subsection 62.762.613 for the Florida Administrative Code facility using the spill prevention control countermeasure plan as prescribed as required in the Title 40 CFR subsection 112 for the detection groundwater monitoring plan meeting the requirements requirements of Rule 62, 52870 for the Florida Administration for the release detection shall meet the release detection requirements of Rule 62, 762, 611 Florida Administrative Code, December 31st, 1990. The above-ground storage tank containing high-velocity regulated substances exempt from all release detection requirements except for the visual inspection pursuant to paragraph 62, 762, 641, E2E, Florida Administrative Code Special Authorities 36303, Florida State Law 376 to 333, Florida History, June 21st, 2004. Alright, we're almost into the 700s. We got, this one's next. I'm pretty sure I just read that shit. I'm not sure. Alright, I didn't read this one yet, but I'm zoom in. Text with. Alright, continuing with the petroleum storage systems, above ground systems, 672, 62762, 6011, release detection method. General category and in category B, the system release detection method shall be one of the methods specified in this section. Shall meet the performance standards contained in the Rule 62, 762, 6041, Florida Administrative Code category C, system release detection method shall be either interstitial visual monitoring secondary contained with the accordance with the Rule 62, 762, 641, Florida Administrative Code small diameter pressurized piping shall have the line leak detector in accordance with the subparagraph 62, 762, 641, 3C, and 1 of the Florida Administrative Code. Brief integrity tests will be performed every 5 years for the category C, but the storage tanks will be closed in interstitial places unless the test is a continuous test. Above ground storage tank test. Above ground storage tank system. A tank category A or category B above ground storage tank shall be equipped with one or more of the following release detection system. Tank with a secondary containment shall have the interstitial monitoring system between the walls of the double wall tank, the intertrice between the tank and any liner of the secondary containment between the tank of the bottom and the secondary containment of the double bottom tank of the tank with the secondary containment of the or exempt from the secondary containment shall have the visual inspection and perform with the accordance with the paragraph 62, 762, 61, 3B with the Florida Administrative Codes. Tanks with an internal lining with the cutout with the cover of the tank shall be method of releasing the detection that meets the requirement of subsection 62, 762, 641, 2, the Florida Administrative Code. Visual inspection of the tank system, a visual inspection of the exterior each of the tank over the above ground integral piping system for secondary containment with the diag field area, if applicable, the diag field area and any other storage system components shall be conducted and documented at least once a month, but not exceeding 35 days. Integral piping, small diameter piping in contact with the soil, single wall piping that is in contact with the soil shall be equipped with one of the following release detection systems. Suction gravity piping shall have the annual line tightness test, an external monthly monitoring release detection method of meeting with requirements of subsection 62, 762, 6041, 2 Florida Administrative Codes is designed to detect the discharge from any of the portion of integral piping by December 31st, 1998. Pressurized piping shall have the mechanical line detectors meeting the requirements of the paragraph 62, 762, 641, 3E, C Florida Administrative, either annual line of tightness test, external release detection test method meeting the requirements of paragraph 62, 762, 641, 3C Florida Administrative Codes, electrical line detectors meeting the requirements of paragraph 62, 762, 641, 1A Florida Administrative Codes, exemption release detection not required with the piping associated with the suction pump provided with a single check valve if installed directly below the suction pump. The piping is sloped and the contents pipe will be drained back into the tank if the suction is broken. Manifold piping system. The small diameter piping is not in contact with the soil that is exempt with the secondary containment. These systems shall be visually inspected in accordance with the paragraph 62, 762, 611B, 2B, the Florida Administrative Code. The small diameter piping, the secondary containment that is in contact with the soil, the double wall piping, the single wall piping, secondary containment shall be equipped with the following release detection system. The interstitial monitoring, a method of testing for the breach integrity that meets the requirements of subparagraph 62, 762, 641, 3A, 2 Florida Administrative Codes for category C is applicable. The bulk product of the hydrant piping, one single wall piping in contact with the soil A will be pressurized, tested annually in accordance with the paragraph 62, 762, 64, 1. 3D and Florida Administrative Codes instead of the annual testing on monthly release detection C. System meeting requirements of subsection 62, 762, 64, 1, 2 Florida Administrative Codes may be installed. Piping not in contact with the soil that is exempt from the secondary contamination shall be visually inspected in accordance with paragraph 62, 762, 6011, 2B Florida Administrative Codes. Piping with the secondary contamination that is in contact with the soil shall, such as the double wall piping and single wall piping with the secondary contaminant, shall be equipped with the following release detection systems: intercellular monitor, if applicable, the category C system, the method of testing of the breaching integrity that meets the requirements of subparagraph 62, 762, 6041, 3A2 Florida Administrative Codes for piping enclosed interstitial spaces, specific authority 376, 303 Florida State Law Limited 376 303 Florida State History News 6 June 21st 2004. All right. 62, 762, 64.1 Performance Standard for the release detection method. General methods of release detection shall be capable of detecting and release the 2 tenths of the per gallons per hour with 150 gallons per within 30 days, with the probability of the detection of the 0.95 with the probability false alarm is 0.05. Exemption: the tightness testing requirements of paragraph 62, 762, 64.1, 3C2, and 3D1 Florida Administrative Code. Visual inspection paragraph 62, 762, 641, 2E Florida Administrative Code. Groundwater vapor monitoring subsection 62, 762, 641, 2 Florida Administrative Code. Manual tank gauging subparagraph 62, 762, 643C, 1 Florida Administrative Code. With the exemption tag, bailers and monitoring wells provided in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 85, 1, 2. The Florida Administrative have the release detection response level described and ready with each of the method of the combination of the method, external release detection method, a well-constructed standards monitoring well requirements. Monitoring wells should be constructed and installed with the licensed water well contractor well when required with the chapter 62, 531 for the Florida Administrative monitoring wells shall be at a minimum of 2 inches of the interior diameter, be slotted with the bottom of the 2 feet with below the ground surface, have a minimum of slot size of 10,000ths of an inch, be backfilled with a clean and sand gravel filter pack of the preventive blockage of the slot, be constructed at least license schedule of 40 PVC without any of the joints, any other corrosion protected material, be grouted into borehole from the surface to the top of the filter pack of the plug with neat cement with grout with other equivalent materials. Grouting shall not extend below the top of the well. Shielding with bentonian slurry grouts shall not be used unless monitoring was intended. The exterior casing to be equipped with the max minimum 6-inch diameter manhole designed to prevent water intrusion with 1 inch. That minimum grade is increased above the surrounding surface. The well opening shall be extended for at least 1 inch above the bottom of the manhole. Extending be equipped with the water type cap. The well should be kept locked and secured to prevent tampering with at all times except when monitoring well is being sampled to maintain. Monitoring wells shall be marked in the corners with the API RP 615. Extended no deeper than 20 feet below the ground. If the depth penetrates the confining layer beneath the excavation, the monitoring well should be extended to no deeper than 2 within 6 inches of the confining layer. Any well that penetrates the confining layer shall immediately preoperatively be abandoned in accordance with the Rule 62, 532, 500 Florida Administrative Code. If installed with the secondary contamination liner extended with no deeper than 6 inches from the liner. 2. The groundwater monitoring well shall extend at least 5 feet below the normal groundwater surface level to be properly developed and licensed water well contractor before initial sampling. Vapor monitoring wells should be meeting the requirements specified by the DEP guidelines for vapor monitoring. Electronic sensor probes and filter fiber optic system shall be tested at least annually to verify they are operating in accordance with the department approval of the guidance given pursuant to the subsection 62, 767, 62, 851, 2 Florida Administrative Codes. 5. The groundwater vaporing monitoring wells used in the placement of the sensor with the probe at the vertical and horizontal directional drill wells shall be designed and installed in accordance with the equipment of approval of the system granted with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 for the Florida Administrative Codes. Be site suitable determination. Site suitable determination shall be performed for each facility using the groundwater vaporing monitoring. The site suitable determination shall be performed in accordance with the Department and Environmental DEP with the guidelines for the site suitable determination for the external monitoring. The professional geologist registered in the state of Florida. If the site is not suitable for the external monitoring and another method of release and detection must be made, that the following facilities having Category A and Category B above ground storage tanks with external monitoring are not required to perform the site suitable determinations. Facilities located in the counties that having rules for the more stringent with the department as specified by Chapter 376, 317 the Florida State Statute. Facility with monitoring wells located with the tank of excavation provided with the demonstration can be made, but the excavation contains the sand or gravel backfill with the wells are properly constructed constructed and installed within the backfill. Groundwater mounted. The regulated substance shall be immiscible with water, but having specific gravity less than 1. The groundwater monitoring shall have not be used with release detection after the pre-body or machine discovered in the monitoring and well, unless a site rehabilitation completion order has been issued with the department following the remediation of the free product with the machine, but therefore is no longer of any of the product of the monitoring well. With free, the product of the machine is not present, but that has been observed in the well within the previous 30 months, as is demonstrated by the record. At least 6 months of the groundwater monitoring sample events within the previous 2 years. The system has been tested tight with the tank and line piping testing. Another internal method of releasing detection performed in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 64, 1, and 3 Florida Administration Codes. Another method of release detection specified in Rule 62, 762, 611 for the Florida Administrative Code. Other groundwater monitoring shall be used when there is less than 1 foot of the groundwater present in the well. The groundwater level is above the slotted portion of the well. The record, the following information shall be maintained in accordance with the record-keeping requirements of this chapter: the date of the sampling, the depth of the well, the depth of the groundwater, any presence of the odor stored with the regulated substance, any sheen with the free product found with the vapor monitoring. Vapor monitoring can only be used for the monitoring of regulated substances that are sufficient validated with the detected in soils, groundwater with the main vapor monitoring equipment. The measuring of the vapor monitoring well should not be rendered inoperative with groundwater, rainfall, with the soil moisture, other known interferences, so that the discharge could be undetected for more than 30 days. Sample equipment shall be capable of detecting the vapor concentration of 500 parts per million total petroleum hydrocarbons measured by a flammable ionization detector for the storage tank system containing the gasoline equivalent petroleum substances. The vapor concentration of 500 parts million, 50 parts per million of the total petroleum hydrocarbon measured with the flammable ionization detector storage tank systems containing kerosene, diesel, and equivalent petroleum substances. Vapor concentration hazardous substances or other than constitute that would indicate a release of the vapor concentration. The triester compounds used in the release detection. Vapor monitoring should not be used in the release of detection if existing contamination interferes with the ability to detect a new release. The vapor monitoring plan should be developed and performed in accordance with the DEP guidelines of vapor monitoring. The plan should include the description, monitoring wells, and probe the method with the sampling, establishing of the release detection, really responsible data management procedure, facility monitoring wells located in the tank of the excavation do not have to meet the requirements of the DEP's guideline for site suitable determination for external monitoring, provided that the demonstration can be made with the excavation containing the sand and gravel backfill that was well properly constructed and installed within the backfill. The visual inspection, any visual inspection with the storage tank system or its secondary containment that reveals the sign of the corrosion, cracks, structural damage, linkage, or the similar problems should be noted. The preparer shall be made in accordance with the requirements of the Rule 62, 762, 701 Florida Administrative Codes. And internal release detection methods. Internal SEO monitoring of the above ground storage tank, SEO monitoring for the double-walled tank, double-walled integral piping, dispenser liners, piping, something other secondary containment system shall be designed and constructed to allow monitoring for the space between the primary and other secondary containment. One or more of the following methods of the interstellar monitoring shall be used with the manual of sampling of the visual monitoring for the liquids. Continuous electronic sensing equipment, hydrostatic monitoring system, and the vacuum monitoring breach with integrity testing of the category C system. The test should be performed for a breach of integrity for the inter-ice, the double-walled underground storage tank system, the double-bottom above-ground storage tank system for the double-walled integral piping with the contact with the soil. This is connected with the above-ground storage tank and the underground storage tank, double-walled shop fabricated with above-ground storage tank piping. Some of the dispenser liners are not required to perform the breach of integrity test. The test shall be performed to determine the integrity of the inner and outer line is required only for the tank's integral piping. The interface, but does not apply with the opening interface system of the liners. The testing should be performed at a time installation every 5 years for the date of installation, unless the test is continuous. If the underground storage tank is totally submerged in the groundwater, monthly monitoring of the intersite for the presence of the water should be conducted with the breach. Of the integrity test may be performed by using at least one of the following methods. The continuous hydrostatic system above approved the department in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 of the Florida Administrative Codes. A continuous vacuum system pursuant to set paragraph 62, 762, 641, 3A of the Florida Administrative Codes is approved by the department in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 of the Florida Administrative Codes. Testing of the inner sites for liquid tightness in accordance with the manufacturer installation instructions and or another method of in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2. Vacuum monitoring and intersize shall meet the following requirements. Liquid filled gases, air-filled gauges shall be calibrated in accordance with the National Institute of Standard Technology. The gauge shall be operational at all times. The vacuum monitoring may be used only as a continuous method of releasing detection provided with the vacuum system equipped with the audible visual alarm. The alarm should indicate the minimum vacuum level allowed with the reach of the provided with the equipment approval granted in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 of the Florida Administrative Codes. Vacuum units should be recorded monthly upon discovering any sufficient vacuum leading level decreases at any level of the vacuum exceeding 20% of the initial level of any of the also the successful levels established in the total test protocols provided with the third-party certification of the test method. Tanker manufacturer shall be contact with the vacuum refresh in accordance with the storage of the tank system of equipment. Approval of the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 with the floor administrative with the cost of the vacuum persist. An investigation shall be initiated with the incident reports according to the subsection 62, 762, 451, 2 with the Florida Administrative Code. The source of the loss shall be repaired in accordance with the Rule 62, 762, 701 Florida Administration Codes. Alright, interstellar monitoring of the storage tanks, integral piping equipped with the liner shall be designed with the construction to allow the monitoring to be of the space between the primary and secondary containment and shall be capable of detecting and releasing through the inner wall of the interstice. They can be constructed and installed with the groundwater, rainfall, soil, moisture will not render the testing and the sampling method of the use inoperative. Be equipped with the external release detection method of meeting with the standards of the paragraph 62, 762, 641A, 2 through A and D with the Florida Administrative except for the groundwater level excavation zone assessment requirements. Be visually inspected in accordance with paragraph 62, 762, 64, 1, 2E of the Florida Administrative Codes. Be equipped with the monitoring device approved in accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 with the Florida Administrative Codes. Installed the monitoring point within the liner. Inventory control. Generally, the inventory shall be maintained for each of the single-walled tank that contains vehicular fuel storage tank system that are elevated above the soil that have the secondary containment are exempt from the inventory control of the requirements above ground storage tank. The rest on impervious surfaces are also exempt. Inventory control of the shop and fabricated with the above ground storage tank shall be performed and recorded in accordance with the API recommended practice 1621 for the applicable manifold tanks may be treated with a single tank for the purpose of the inventory control. Inventory control shall be performed in the following manner. The volume measured for the product input with the withdrawal for the amount of the remaining in each for the tank shall be recorded each for the operating day. Measuring the product level should be recorded in the nearest 1/8 of an inch. Product input shall be reconciled with the delivery receipt with the measurement of the tank product volume before and after the delivery. Product dispensing shall be metered as a requirement of the Chapter 525 and 531 in accordance with the standards established by the Florida Department of Agricultural Consumer Services of Chapter 5 F2 Florida Administrative Code. The measuring of water level in the bottom of the tank shall be made at least once a week with the nearest 1/8 of an inch, and the significant loss for gain of the product shall be calculated for each of the month. Inventory control requirements of the field created with the erected above ground storage tank of the bulk product facilities may be used for product inventory control with the multiple tanks provided with the demonstration that equivalent protection is made with accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 1 Florida Administrative Code. Inventory measurement for the field erected system, manifold system, the non-manifold system with the capacity of 3,000 gallons greater shall be reconciled to detect the presence of significant loss or gain. The equipment of the method should be capable of accurately measuring the level of volume of the product over the full range of the tank of the usable storage capacity to the nearest 1/4 of an inch. Investigating procedure for significant loss and gain. The investigation should be initiated immediately to determine the source of the significant loss or gain. The entire storage tank system, including the piping, the connection of remote fill with the lines, shall be tested and inspected to determine if the system is product type. And the investigation shall continue until the source has been found and using the following investigation procedures. Inventory records shall be checked with the errors of arithmetic data recording measurement. If the significant loss or gain is not reconcilable, cannot be affirmative demonstrated to be the result of the theft of the accessible parts of the storage system shall be contracted with the damage for leaks. Release detection system shall be checked for the signs of the discharge. The calibration for the inventory measuring system, the dispensing system shall be verified. If the investigation does not reveal the source of a significant loss or gain within 1 week of the underground storage tank for 2 weeks for the above ground storage tanks, the Department of the County determined it necessary to investigate the basis of the evidence of the significant loss or gain that could result in the potential harm to the environment. The storage tank system shall be tested in accordance with the manufacturer guidelines if applicable. Subsection 62, 762, 641, 3 Florida Administrative Codes. If discharge is discovered a leak in the defective component with the storage tank system shall be repaired in accordance with the Rule 62, 762, 701 Florida Administrative Codes. The storage tank system cannot be repaired. It should be closed in accordance with Section 62, 762, 841, 3 Florida Administrative Codes. Alright, small diameter integral piping in contact with the soil line leak detectors, underground storage tank line detector sheet. Detector shall be capable of detecting discharge of 3 point gallons per hour with the probability detection of 95% probability of the false alarm of 0.5%. At a line pressure of 10 psi within an hour, have an annual testing operational leak detector conducted in accordance with the manufacturer requirements by an individual certified trained manufacturer determined whether the device is functional as it is designed. Remote testing of the leak detector can be performed by the manufacturer if the remote test is approved under the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 Florida Administrative Codes. Restrict flow of within 1 hour of the design with mechanical flow restriction. When discharged 3 gallons per hour of the detector, shut off the power of the pump to the pump. This design the automatic electronic shut off when in the test mode of the line leak detector's automatic electronic shut off should also be able to detect a discharge with 0.2 of a gallon per hour with line pressure of the 150% of the operating pressure of the equivalent leak with the probability of detection with 1 month time period of at least 95%, probability of false alarm with 5% with a discharge of 0.2 gallons per hour. The detected leak detector shall provide audible or visual alarms that can be clearly heard or seen by the operable of the facility, and if monitored remotely on a real-time basis. The alarm of the condition must be immediately transmitted to the remote location of the facility operated, but instead of using the line detector, the method release detection for the pressurized small diameter piping associated with a double-walled integral piping. The continuous operational interstellial monitoring device can be used, and the continuous operation interstellial monitoring device should be capable of detecting release of 10 gallons within 1 hour of the shutting off of the pump. Tightness testing for pressurized piping in contact with the flow shall be capable of detecting 0.1 of a gallon per hour leak of the rate at 1 or 1/2 the time the operating pressure of the probability of the detection of 95% and probability of false alarm of 5%. Alright. B. Bulk product piping. Annual testing should be performed in single wall bulk product piping in contact with the soil prior to the testing. The piping, the system, light testing, evaluation, all exposed components shall be performed through visual inspection by another method approved by the department in accordance with Rule 62, 762, 851. The evaluation shall be verified and recorded. One of the modeling methods should be used for the annual test. A bulk petroleum product test method approved by the accordance with the subsection 62, 762, 851, 2 Florida Administrative Codes and AIP recommended practice 1110. Hydrostatic test ASME B31-4. Hydrostatic test double wall bulk product hydrant piping. Other product piping equipped with the secondary containment shall have the method of release detection testing with the breaching integrity of the meeting the requirements of the subparagraph 62, 762, 641, 3A, 2, 4, or 4 and Florida Administrative Codes as applicable. Records of all the tests shall be maintained in accordance with the appendix test record of the API RPI recommended practice 1110 chapter 6 of the ASME B31-4 with the applicable pursuant subsection 62, 762, 711, 1 Florida Administrative Codes. Special Authority 36303 Florida Administrative Code 376 303 Florida State History News 6 June 21st, 2004. Alright, we have 3 left to go. I'm gonna check. Alright, we got about a couple hundred words to go.